Welcome to Corporate Bhagavad Gita. There are prayers on my screen. You can repeat with me. Om Agyan Timirandasya Gyanan Jana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yen Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaः. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuktapadakammalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavansha Shri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतम सावधूतम परिजन सहितम कृष्ण चैतन्य देवम श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांध राधा कांत नमस्ते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So welcome to Corporate Bhagavad Gita. We were reading from 13th chapter in where Arjuna asked certain questions. What is Kshetra? What is the knower of the field? Kshetraknya. Jnana. Nenya. Object of knowledge. Knowledge. And what is Prakriti? We are living in this world. We are living in a body. What is this matter? Material things that are around us, Prakriti. And who is the Purusha, the real enjoyer, the true enjoyer. So in this regard, Krishna says the field is our body. So field can be many things. It can be where we stay, where we work, all that are Kshetra only. But from Bhagavad Gita perspective, from this chapter, the field is this body. Inside this body, there is a knower of that body, that is the soul, Atma. And he is doing various activities with the body. And there are emotions, feelings, everything with the body. Okay, so these are all the field of activities, the field, the knower, and then there is a super knower who knows not just one body but all other bodies. That is the Paramatma. Okay, now the question is, what is knowledge and what is the object of knowledge? So this particular whole section 8 to 12, Krishna says this is knowledge. Everything else is not knowledge. So let's start with it. Amavitam Adam Vitvam Ahimsa Shantir Arjavam Acharyopasanam Saucham Sthairam Atma Vinigraha Idyarteshu Vairagyam Anankara Evata Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi Dukkha Doshan Darshanam Asaktir Anabhisvangaha Putradara Grahadeshu Nityam Sa Samachitvam Ishtanuto Papashtitho मयि चान्य योगेन भक्ति अव्या विचारिणी विविक्त्वादेश सेवित्वम आरतिर जन संसिदि अध्यात्म ज्ञान नित्यात्वम तत्व ज्ञानार्थम दर्शनम एता ज्ञानम इति प्रोक्तम अज्ञानम यदतो अन्यथा. Okay, so big list Krishna gives, but we will summarize it. Chapter 13. Yeah, this is the list. 18 of them, 20 of them, sorry, 20. So list of 20. Krishna said this is all knowledge. So we will go one by one. Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of evil, birth, death, old age and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home and the rest, even-mindedness amid pleasant, unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these are declared to be knowledge, and besides this, whatever they may be is ignorance. So there is no mention of subjects that we have studied. What have we studied in our school days and in our college days? What subjects did we study? Yes. What subjects did we study in our school days and college days?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hmm.
Science, mathematics, social studies.
Right. So nothing of that is mentioned here. No physics, chemistry, mathematics, finance. So then, what does it? Where does such thing lies then? Hmm?
These things,
Is it knowledge or not knowledge?
knowledge, Prabhuji. Knowledge,
No, according to Krishna, this is knowledge.
knowledge,
So, is that knowledge or not knowledge?
knowledge, Prabhuji. Knowledge.
No, no, it is okay. Okay. So this is jnana. Let's see this. What jnanam? This is jnanam. So another word is vidya, avidya. There is vidya, avidya. There is vidya, avidya. Or let's put it like this. First we'll discuss avidya and then vidya. So in avidya, all the material knowledge comes. Physics, chemistry, math, finance, medical. Okay. In vidya, this is the list that Krishna gives. This whole thing: humility, pridelessness, for search for absolute truth. Big list. Here also there is big list, and this also there is another big list, isn't it? So
Yes, Prabhuji.
so this is avidya, and this is vidya. Why this is called avidya? The reason is it talks about, it gives us a knowledge, okay, which is as a start and an end. Okay, first thing, it has a start and it has an end. Second thing, it is it is pertaining to temporary things. Okay, it is pertaining to temporary things. Third thing is it is only pertaining to material science. Let's put it like that. Simple words. Material science. Isn't it? This is only dealing with material science. Does it make sense? Avidya, and this is spiritual science. So what is there in spiritual science is called Vidya, and what is material science is Avidya. Now, my question to you. Krishna talks only about Vidya. This whole list he talks. We are going to discuss this. He doesn't talk about Avidya. So should we study Avidya? Should we study this material science? Or we should only focus on Vidya? What is your opinion?
Focus on Vidya, Prabhuji. Vidya.
Okay. Now we'll take help of Ishopanishad to understand what exactly we should do. If we focus only on Vidya, then how we will live? Can we live? You understand? We have to live in this world. So if we only focus on Vidya, there is nothing that we have to do, that will help us living. We may not be able to live properly also. And we are not even at that stage of a yogi, of a perfected yogi. And do we have self control? Are we very clean? Are we humble? We have pride in us. We are sometimes violent. We are not so tolerant. So this will take time to develop. Meantime, we have to live in this world. We have to take care of our family. We have to take care of ourselves. If we become sick, then we have to go to medical science. Whatever it may be, allopathy, Ayurvedic, homeopathic, naturopathy, whatever. If you have to build anything and all that, we have to take example help of mathematics, physics, and chemistry. We need help of finance. Okay, so you see, it is not that we have to focus on one only, right? It is not that we just have to focus on avidya. No, it's not that we just have to focus on vidya. No, we have to focus on both. So there is a very nice verse which says in Ishopanishad, which will help us to understand. So it is mantra 11, side by side. Vidyacha vidyamcha, vidyacha avidyamsa, yes. Tat vedo bhayam saha, avidyayam mrityam tritve, vidya amritam ashrute. One can learn the process of nations. Nations means avidya, and that of transcendental knowledge, meaning vidya, side by side, and can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy full meaning of immortality. So what it is saying, you should learn it side by side, not just one. You should learn it simultaneously. And then, like you said, we should focus on vidya. When we are learning side by side, our focus is still on vidya only. But we are making avidya, this whole material science, to help in our goals in vidya. You understand? Why are we earning in the company, in the shop? Why are we doing that? So that we can take care of ourselves and family. Isn't it? Very simple. Yes or no?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes,
Yeah.
Prabhuji.
So similarly, we can apply the same principle here. Our focus is spiritual life, exactly. But we are living in this world, so therefore we have an aspect of material life also. So we should see that this material life supports our spiritual life. Let me put it down. You understand, this material life supports our spiritual life. This is how we should live in this world. We are focused on our spiritual life. Of course, we are focused on our spiritual life, but at the same time, we are performing our material life, material duties, material so many things in such a way that it ultimately supports our spiritual life. It doesn't come against our spiritual life. First point, it doesn't destroy our spiritual life. It doesn't put obstacles in our spiritual life. Okay, it helps in our spiritual life. How is this possible? Can you give me one example? How does this take? How will you implement this in your life? Material life supports our spiritual life. Can you give me one example? How we will make our material life, which will ultimately support our spiritual life?
Build a temple, Prabhuji. Build a temple and book distribution.
Okay, for building temple, we will use material science to build a temple for Krishna. For book distribution, we will use finance and printing technology to distribute Krishna's book. Okay, got it. What about food? We have to eat food every day. We will offer it to Krishna. We will eat that vegetarian without onion, garlic, prasadam. Right? This is how we will make sure that whatever we do materially, it ultimately helps us in grow spiritually. Like that. Does it make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Okay. So now we'll jump into the purport. It's a very long purport, but we'll try to finish it today. This process of knowledge is sometimes misunderstood by rest. So I will do reading and then I will jump towards the table. Like this, we'll try to complete all the 20 of them today itself.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Hmm. This process of knowledge is sometimes misunderstood by less intelligent men as being interaction of field of activities. But actually, this is the real process of knowledge. If one accepts this process, then the possibility of approaching the absolute truth exists. So this process, this knowledge process that Krishna has given 20 points, it it is aiming to approach the absolute truth. That is, it's aiming to reach Krishna. This is not interaction of 24 elements. See, this is not interaction of 24 elements. Which are the 24 elements? Earth, water, fire, air, ether, senses, mind, intelligence. That is all dealing with what? Material body, matter, material nature. But these activities, this process of knowledge is not at all material. It is spiritual science. This is actually the means to get out of the entanglement of those elements. The embodied soul is entrapped by the body, which is casing made out of 24 elements, and the process of knowledge, as described here, is the means to get out of it. Of all the descriptions of the process of knowledge, the most important point in the first line of the 11th verse, Mai Charna Yoga Yogena Bhaktir Abhyavicharini. So all this knowledge that we are doing is ultimately for what? Bhakti. This is the most important point. If we are humble, tolerant, and so many other things, but not a devotee, then it's considered a failure because it won't sustain long. One will give up that position. Process of knowledge terminates in unalloyed devotion to the Lord. So if one does not approach or is not able to approach the transcendental service of the Lord, then the other 19 items are of particularly no value. But if one takes to devotional service in full Krishna consciousness, then the other 19 items automatically develop within. So if we take to Bhakti Yoga and practice the process of chanting, hearing, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, all that 9 processes, if we do, then the other qualities they start coming in us: humility, tolerance, patience. So many things start coming to us. Detachment. You don't have to separately endeavor. So that's the point the acharyas are mentioning here. Bhakti yoga is powerful enough to attract all the required qualities that is meant to progress in spiritual life. As stated in Bhagavatam, yasasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarver gunes tatra samasate sura. The good qualities of knowledge develop in one who has attained the stage of devotional service. The principle of accepting a spiritual master, as mentioned in the 8th verse, is essential. How do we do devotional service? Under the guidance of spiritual master. Even for one who takes to devotional service, it is very important. Transcendental life begins when one accepts a bona fide spiritual master. The Supreme Personal Godhead, Sri Krishna, clearly states here that this process of knowledge is the actual path. Anything speculated beyond this is nonsense. So this is actual Vidya. Anything other than that is nonsense. No sense. As for knowledge outlined here, the items may be analyzed as follows. So first thing, amanitvam, humility. Humility means to not be anxious to have satisfaction of being honored by others. You have to give respect to me. Okay. Humility means one should not be anxious to have satisfaction of being honored by others. Meaning wherever we go, wherever we are, we think other person should respect me. Humility means you should not expect that respect. Whether they respect you or don't respect you, you should not be so much disturbed by it. Okay. So now my question to you is it in all situations should we be like this? We should not have any satisfaction. Sorry, we should not be anxious to be honored by others. Suppose the prime minister comes, nobody greets him, nobody gives him respect, and everyone tells him you have to be humble guy. Why you want respect and all that? Suppose um, a parent is insulted by the child. The parent should not get angry on the child, and the child will tell why, because amanitvam, you have to be humble, you should not be anxious to be satisfied or being honored by your children. Is that the right understanding? Yeah, what do you think? What do you think?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Which one, Prabhuji? What?
No, see, humility means not to be honored by others, not to expect that others will honor me. Okay, I am saying fine, this definition is fine, but let's say a parent is insulted by child, a policeman is insulted on the road, a judge is insulted in his court. Should we allow that in the definition of humility?
Not allowed, Prabhuji.
Should we allow the definition of humility in abuse? Somebody is getting abused.
Not allowed, Mother. Not allowed.
Yeah. So, where it is a question of position, like police, judge, prime minister, teacher, these all positions, parent, so it's all elderly positions. There, for the sake of the juniors to make them understand that they have to respect, one should not implement this humility. One should correct them with humility. One should correct them for their upliftment, for their benefit. Okay, for their benefit, when it is that is still humility only. Okay, so that honor, they give the honor to the position, they give the honor to the elders. They need to learn that abuse cannot be tolerated under the concept of humility, because abuse means your bhakti is in danger, your own life is in danger. Hmm? And you cannot take that abuse. Nobody can take that abuse. That will take you away from bhakti. So to come out of it, one has to not use this principle of humility over there. Okay. The material conception of life makes us very eager to receive honor from others, but from the point of view of a man in perfect knowledge, one who knows that he is not this body, anything honor, dishonor pertaining to this body is useless. One should not be hankering after this material deception. People are very anxious to be famous for their religion, and consequently, sometimes it is found that the understanding of principle of religion, one enters into some group which is not actually following religious principle and then wants to advertise himself as religious mentor. There are many people who give false religious mentorship. Okay, that is not humility. As for actual advancement in spiritual science, one should have the test to see how far is one progressing. Then he can be judged by these items. Advancement is judged by this principle of humility. Okay. There will be some pure devotees who will be humble in every situation. Like Prahlad Maharaj, he was being tried to be killed by his father. He was actually abused by his father. But Prahlad Maharaj, because he was so much in the remembrance of the Lord that nothing of that affected him. But if we are in such a situation, we are not supposed to be in that situation. We should try to find solution, because we are not pure devotees at this point. We take inspiration from Prahlad Maharaj, but practically we do things in our life so that our bhakti is protected, our life is protected, we are not abused. There was this one great devotee called as Jada Bharat. Jada Bharat was King Bharata in his next life, and he used to act like a madman, completely disregard. So what happened is, one senior dacoits, they caught him, and they said, let's do Bali, sacrifice, kill Bharata in front of Kali Mata. And Jada Bharat was completely indifferent. Was completely indifferent. He wouldn't mind anything. Even though he understood they're going to kill me, he said, fine, if this is the last moment of my life, that it is. But what happened is, Kali, she saw that Bharat, the great devotee of Krishna, has come, and she herself is Krishna's devotee. So she burst out from the deity form of her deity form, and she killed all the bandits. She killed all of them, and thus she saved Jada Bharat. Okay, it's a very nice picture. You can see Jada Bharat was completely not caring only what is going on. Then Kali came out from the deity and killed everyone. But the point to mention is, we are not supposed to be in this situation, okay? And the reason is, Jada Bharat was really at a very high devotional position, Therefore, he didn't mind all this abuse. But in our case, we have to be careful. Any questions? Okay. Non-violence, ahimsa. Now, Bhagavad Gita talks about ahimsa. So here is where it talks about ahimsa. Non-violence. It generally is taken to mean not killing or destroying the body. But actually, non-violence means not to put others into distress. Ahimsa. Ahimsa, if we look at it, we think that, okay, it means no violence. Right? Ahimsa, the word no violence. But then after the whole Bhagavad Gita, what did Arjuna do? After hearing the whole Bhagavad Gita, what did Arjuna did? Can you tell me what did he do?
Fight with the bear.
He fought.
Yeah.
So then how come this ahimsa gets applied to him? Did he go against the principle of ahimsa then? So here is where acharyas say that non-violence means not to put others into distress. In other words, non-violence is necessary violence. Okay, it is a necessary violence to protect the weak from evil. A fighter has to be violent. This is also non-violence. So now, if a policeman sees that his brother is involved in a crime and he thinks, no, I have to be non-violent, is it acceptable? Not acceptable, right? He has to be violent to stop, even though it may be his own brother. And to do that is also ahimsa. So therefore, the definition goes: ahimsa means not to put others into distress. If others are in distress, then the act to stop it is also non-violence. Hmm? Now, people are in two types of distress. One is material distress, where they are weak, they have been abused by or attacked by, evil people. Okay, that is one distress. We'll call it as material distress. Then another one is spiritual distress. All people are nothing but the soul. But if they are so ignorant of spiritual life, and if we allow that, if we see that, okay, they are ignorant and we do nothing, then that is violence. People in general are trapped by ignorance in the material concept of life, and they perpetually suffer material pains. So, unless one elevates people to spiritual knowledge, one is practicing violence. So, if there is no effort being made to uplift people in spirituality, then it is a violent thing. That effort has to be made, and that effort itself is non-violence. One should try his best to distribute real knowledge to the people so that they become enlightened and leave this material entanglement. That is non-violence. Any questions on non-violence? Is it clear? Yes. Is this concept clear?
Yes, Prabhuji. Okay.
Okay. Because in today's world, everyone thinks ahimsa is no violence, zero violence. No, it is not like that. Tolerance. Yes,
Prabhuji,
yes, yeah.
may I just uh, put my thought on nonviolence?
Yeah, yeah,
Is
sure.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
With what you have just told, can we say nonviolence is more in thought? Uh, it has to be a any action we do. It is we should be without any non-violence of thought to implement, as you say, hurt, stress. Without
Hmm.
that, if you are doing for a cause and action,
Hmm.
then that is non-violence. Is that correct? What you would like to say, like
Okay. Okay. So you talked about intention.
intention? Yes,
Yeah.
yes, 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 Prabhuji. Yes,
So,
yes.
yeah. So, see, one of the thing is to be violent. Non-violence is to be violent when the intention is to protect the weak from the evil. Okay.
Okay.
And of course,
Because when we say to be violent, then
it actually
I would
also
say
means
to be action,
okay.
to be in action,
Hmm.
to be in action with the intent of protecting. So whatever
Yes.
action we do for protecting, whether it is for fighting to protect country,
Agreed.
your people under you, or any weak anything.
Yes.
So that needs action,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? So the word violent again coming here
The
would
thing is,
again give a
the thing is,
wrong connotation.
the action is violent. To kill someone in the battlefield is a violent action. So we should acknowledge that. It is not that we
Okay,
should reject that, because in a battlefield
right.
the action is always violent. But with
Hmm.
what purpose one does makes it non-violent. With
Hmm.
what intention one does, one makes it non-violent. Now, another example I'll take. I told, like, parent can get angry on a child.
Hmm.
Is it violence or is it non-violence? Again, it depends on the intention.
Intention,
Yeah.
yes.
If the
If the anger
intention
is out of
is,
frustration, then it is wrong. But if the
yeah, yeah,
anger
yeah.
is for the improvement of the child without
Yes.
frustration, when you are angry, then and
Yes.
that can be shown in various ways. I mean,
Sure.
it need not be a violent. It can be depicted to the child in various ways.
If it is to correct the child, then it is non-violent.
Yes,
But if the
yes.
anger is to abuse the child, then it is violent.
Mm.
Like sometimes, we
Yes.
keep hearing this news. A child went to some child care and the nanny over there hit him, and and the child was just 3 years, 4 years. All this news we hear, right? So that is
Yeah.
nothing but violence. But it is
Right.
not like in other child care institutes, children are not shouted at. It is
Mm.
not like that. It happens, but there the nanny does it with out of concern. It is out of love. It is with such intention that the child also understands. But here
Mm.
the intention is only wrong, so then it becomes violence.
True.
Okay. Okay, good point. Good point.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
these are all subtle points of Bhagavad Gita, where people have taken only one opinion and they have stuck to it. Right? There was this great politician leader who stuck to this ahimsa principle. Then another leader stuck to violent principle. Another leader stuck to tolerance, humility. But again, these are not just to be blanketly followed. They have to be followed with what intention we are doing it. Okay. If our life is threatened, if our bhakti is threatened and all that, then we have to be smart. We have to be cunning. We cannot be, taking this example. I still took the example of Jada Bharat. But in case of Jada Bharat, Kali came and saved him. In case of Prahlad Maharaj, Vishnu came and saved him. But because we are not at that level, and if we think Krishna will come and save us, it's not like wrong to think Krishna can come through some other way and save us. But we should be ready to understand that that is how Krishna is saving us. But yeah, okay. So we'll move forward. Hmm? Tolerance. Tolerance means one should practice to bear insults, honor, dishonor from others. So we should definitely bear insults and dishonor from others. But if the dishonor and insult is done for someone else, that we should not bear. Hmm? And second thing is a dishonor, insult to us also. If it is affecting us, then we should not tolerate. We should go away from there. See, for Prahlad Maharaj, he could tolerate all that abuse. Jada Bharat could not tolerate all that abuse. We may not be able to maintain our spiritual life if somebody insults and dishonors us and abuses us. Okay, so in that case, we have to run away. We don't have to sit there and say, I will tolerate. No, the real tolerance over there will be to run away. Come out of that situation. No need to continue. If one engages in advancement of spiritual knowledge, there will be so many insults and so much dishonor from others. This is expected because the material nature is so constituted. Even a boy like Prahlad, who's only 5 years old, was engaged in the cultivation of spiritual knowledge, was endangered when his father became antagonistic to his devotion. The father tried to kill him in so many ways, but the Prahlad tolerated them. See, he tolerated. There were many impediments to make advancement in spiritual life, but one should be tolerant and continue our progress with determination. See, tolerant is fine, but is the other part satisfying? Are we still continuing with determination in our bhakti? Then it is fine to tolerate and continue. But if the other part is disturbed, if our bhakti is disturbed, then we should not stay there. Does it make sense? Yes? Does it make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. We need to understand this, okay? That's why I'm asking. We have to be clear of this concept. Simplicity. Simplicity means without duplicity. One should be so straightforward that he can disclose the real truth even to an enemy. But if the enemy is going to kill you, then you need not be sadhu. Okay? So Prahlad Maharaj, Jada Bharat, they are in this high. Any questions? Okay. So Yeah, simplicity, not to be duplicit. So straightforward that he can disclose the real truth even to an enemy. Now, interestingly, in our Acharya line, there comes two great Acharyas, Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. Now, they were imprisoned by their king. They were finance minister and prime minister in the Nizam kingdom. But once they got imprisoned by the king, and the king was not letting them go out. And they wanted to join Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and serve him. So now, did they follow simplicity? They saw that with simplicity they are not able to do devotional service. So Rupa Goswami bribed the jailer with lots of gold, and Sanatan Goswami also bribed the jailer, and both of them ran away from the prison. Now they are acharyas, they are gurus in our spiritual life. They have written so many books, but one can argue, oh, they were not that simple. They didn't tell the real truth even to enemy. So were they wrong? That's my question to you. Were they wrong in being cunning and trying to escape from that situation?
Their action was wrong, but the intention was not wrong.
Okay. Okay. So the thing is now, the intention, with what intention they did was to save their life, to save bhakti, you know, continue their progress in devotion service. That's why they did that action. So ultimately they were right. Ultimately they were right. As for the acceptance of spiritual master, that is essential. Without the instruction of bona fide spiritual master, one cannot progress in spiritual science. One should approach a spiritual master with all humility and offer him all services so that he will be pleased to bestow his blessings upon the disciple. Because a bona fide spiritual master is representative of Krishna, if he bestows any blessings upon his disciple, then that will make the disciple immediately advance without the disciples following the regulative principles. Or the regulative principles will be easier for one who has served the spiritual master without reservation. So fourth point here is to accept a spiritual master. We know this, we have discussed a lot. Without the help of spiritual master, we cannot understand what is bhakti. We don't know what is bhakti. We don't know even how to perform bhakti. So a spiritual master should be there to guide us in all the aspects. Then it will become easier for us. Cleanliness is of two types, external and internal. Externally is by bath, internally is by spiritual sadhana, by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Chanting is essential for making advancement in, cleanliness. Cleanliness is essential for making advancement in spiritual life. There are two kinds of cleanliness, external and internal. External cleanliness means taking bath. But for internal cleanliness, one has to think of Krishna always and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. This process cleans the accumulated dust of the past karma from the mind. This Hare Krishna Mahamantra cleanses the heart of all the anarthas. Steadiness. Any question or comment, you can interrupt me. Steadiness. Steadiness means one should be very determined to make progress in spiritual life. Without such determination, one cannot make tangible progress. And self-control means one should accept anything which is detrimental. One should not accept anything which is detrimental to the path of spiritual progress. Some things will put obstacles in our spiritual progress. That we should reject. That itself is self-control. Like smoking, drinking, meat eating, gossip, all this will destroy our spiritual life. So rejecting that is also self-control. Self-control doesn't just mean that we are controlling, but we are also rejecting what is good, what is bad thinking. One should become accustomed to reject anything which is against the path of spiritual progress. This real renunciation, the senses are so strong. Any question? Okay. The senses are so strong that they are always anxious to have sense gratification. One should not cater to these demands, which are not necessary. The senses should only be gratified to keep the body fit so that one can discharge his duty in advancing in spiritual life. The most important and uncontrollable sense is the tongue. First, we need to control our tongue. How do we control our tongue? Very easy. If one can control the tongue, that is, it is very, it's that there is every possibility of controlling the other sense. The function of the tongue is to taste and to vibrate. It does two things: taste and then vibrate to generate noise, words, languages. So, how to control our taste? Eat prasadam. How to control our vibration? Chant the holy name of Krishna. Therefore, by systematic regulation, the tongue should be always be engaged in tasting the remnants of foodstuffs offered to Krishna and chant Hare Krishna. As far as eyes are concerned, they should not be allowed to see anything but the beautiful form of Krishna. That will control the eyes. Similarly, the eyes should be engaged in hearing about Krishna and nose in smelling the flowers offered to Krishna. This is the process of devotional service, and it is understood here that the Bhagavad Gita is simply expounding the science of devotional service. Devotional service is the main and sole objective. Unintelligent commentators on Bhagavad Gita try to divert the mind of the reader to other subjects, but there is no other subject in Bhagavad Gita than devotional service. Okay. False ego, ahankar, accepting this body as oneself. When one understands that he is not this body and is the spirit soul, it comes to this real ego. So coming to this point that I am not the body but I am part and parcel of Krishna is very, very important. With that only one can advance in spiritual life. One can start his spiritual life with that concept. Okay. When one understands that he is not this body and spirit soul, he comes to his real ego. Ego is there. Ego means, you can say here, identity. He has a particular identity. Everyone wants to identify, who am I? I am Mr. So and so. I work in this company. I have so many. I have one wife, 10 children, etc. All this is, ego. So it's called false ego. That ego which is not there for life. This is I am. The sense of self also exists in the liberated stage of self-realization. The sense of I am is the ego, but when the sense of I am is applied to this false body, it is false ego. When the sense of human, when the sense of self is applied to the reality, that is real ego. Therefore, there are some philosophers who say that one should give up the ego. Some philosophers say give up that identity. You are nothing. You are zero. Shunyavadi. No. But we cannot give up our ego. Any question?
Prabhuji, yes. On the ego and false ego, both are same or they are like different?
They are different.
Mm-hmm. So ego is okay. I mean, it's like there's a little.
What? Sorry?
Between ego and false ego. I think if it is only ego, it is okay. It is not bad. But if it is false ego, that is bad. Correct?
False ego, see, false ego means my identity is with the body, with its possessions. Anything that is related with the body, that is my identity. Okay.
Yes.
It becomes problematic because one is very attached to his possessions. Then one can't take to Krishna consciousness. That is the problem. So therefore it is
Okay.
called false ego, where one only identifies with the material object. So what is true ego?
Yeah, yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So true ego is to understand that I am servant of Krishna
Yeah.
and serve Krishna only.
Yes, 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 Prabhu. Understood, Prabhu.
Hmm.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. One should try to understand the distress of accepting birth, death, old age, and disease. We have gone through COVID period. No one liked it. Did anyone like it in the call? COVID period?
Nobody.
Nobody liked it.
Yeah.
Why? Because such a
Yeah.
disease was there, it was killing so many people. Nobody
Yeah.
likes old age also. There's a whole cosmetic industry just to keep our hair black. But we really become old one day. Death. Everyone is fearful of death. But a person on this path is is he knows that what is old age, what is disease. So therefore, he utilizes his time, his energy, so that he doesn't waste everything he utilizes in spiritual life. He doesn't waste anything. Okay, I go a little faster. There are description in Vedic literature in the birth. So birth is also very painful. No? In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the world of the unborn, the child stay in the womb of the mother, its suffering, etc. All very graphically described. One should thoroughly understand birth is distressful because we forget so much how much distress we have suffered within the womb of the mother. We do not make any solution to the repetition of birth and death. Similarly, at the time of death, there are all kinds of suffering. At the time of death, there are all kinds of suffering. Disease and old age, that is also very painful. This should be discussed. It should not be avoided. If you have ever heard the story of Buddha, he never came out of the palace. He was a prince, right? They never allowed him to come out of the palace. One fine day, somehow he escaped. And then in the village, he saw a very old man. And he said, "What is this?" The prince was young, na? So he was a little shocked seeing an old man, bones, white hair, thin body, walking stooply. And the charioteer said, "This is old age." Old age? What is that? It will come to all of us. Then he saw a diseased person. What is that? That person has leprosy disease. Oh, Krishna. That will also come to us? Yes. Then he saw a dead body. What is that? There is death. We'll all have to die. Then Gautam Buddha, actually story of Buddha, that he then thought that what is this world? Let me achieve nirvana. So he came to Gaya and he did tapasya and he achieved nirvana. So understanding the understanding the problems of birth and old age and disease should give us impetus in making our spiritual advancement. It should not make us depressed. These things will happen. But it should give us impetus. Let me do right now. Right now I am very healthy. Let me do as much devotional service I can. In the old age, I may not be able to do like that. As for detachment of children, wife and home. See, it's a question of detachment. So this detachment is only on the level of mind. Okay. It is not meant that one should have no feelings for these. It is not like detachment means give up them and run away and escape. No, the feelings of affection should be there. But one should not think that these are mine. These are my children and ever they'll be mine only. This is my wife and ever she'll be mine only. One should not think. One should know the reality. Okay, but when they are not favorable to spiritual progress, then one should not be attached to them. Either you make your family devotees, and if the family is not devotee, then don't be so attached. Do your duty. The best process of making home pleasant is Krishna consciousness. If one is in full Krishna consciousness, he can make his home very happy. Because this process of Krishna consciousness is very easy. One need only chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Accept the remnants of foodstuff, prasad offered to Krishna, and discussion of books like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. Engage oneself in devotional service. These four things will make one happy. This is the formula. These four things are to make one happy. Chant, discuss the books, engage in devotional service, and eat prasadam. The family members can sit down morning, evening and chant together. They can sing and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. If one can mold his family life in this way and develop Krishna consciousness, following this fourth principle, then there is no need to change from family life to renounced order. But if it is not congenial, if it is not helpful, if it is not spiritually, if it is not favorable, then such a family life should be abandoned. One should give up it. Acharyas have said one should give up. If it is not so conducive to devotional service, one should give up. One must sacrifice everything to realize and serve Krishna, just as Arjuna did. Arjuna did not want to kill his family members, but he understood that his family members were impediments to his Krishna consciousness, to his Krishna realization. He accepted the instruction of Krishna and fought and killed them. In all cases, one should be detached from the happiness and distress of family life, because in this world one can never be fully happy or fully miserable. So in this world both things are there, happiness, miserability, both are there. Happiness and distress are concomitant factor of the material life. One should learn to tolerate. So this material happiness and sadness is enough. One should simply tolerate that. Little bit is fine, but in a long run one should simply tolerate, even if happiness comes. One can never restrict the coming and going of happiness and distress. So one should be detached from materialistic way of life, and eventually and automatically equized, and be automatically equized in both the cases. Generally, when we get something essential, we are very happy, and when he when we get something undesirable, we are distressed. But if we are actually in the spiritual position, then these things will not agitate us. To reach that state, one should practice unbreakable devotion service. Devotion service to Krishna without deviation means engaging oneself in the 9 processes of devotion service: chanting, hearing, worshipping, offering, respects, etc. I described in the last verse of 9th chapter. The process should be followed. We have how many? 4. 4 more paragraphs to go. Naturally, when one is adapted to the spiritual way of life, he will not mix with materialistic man. That would go against his grain. So we will avoid materialistic association. Now this association, is of two types. One is like external and one is through our heart. So heart to heart association will be avoided with this materialistic. But just for transactional, because sometimes we have to meet people, they may not be devotees. We have to discuss with them, job, money, whatever. So it is not heart to heart. What is there in our heart, we will not tell them, we will not reveal them. So that is how that association is restricted. Naturally, devotee has no taste in unnecessary sporting or cinema going or enjoying some social functions. Because he understands these are simple waste of time. There are many research scholars and philosophers who study sex life or some other subject, but according to Bhagavad Gita, such research or philosophical speculation have no value. That is more or less nonsensical. According to Bhagavad Gita, one should make research by philosophically discretion into the nature of the soul. One should make research to understand the self and recommend it here. So all the research should be done for spiritual purpose. As far as self-realization is concerned, it is clearly stated that the Bhakti Yoga is especially practical. As soon as there is a question of devotion, one must consider the relationship between the super soul and the individual soul. The individual soul and super soul cannot be one, at last not in the Bhakti concept. The devotion concept of life. The individual soul and super soul are not one. Okay, they are in quality in one, but not in quantity. They are not even one in strength. The super soul can control the whole universe. We can only control our body. Within that, also, a lot of things we cannot control. This service of individual soul to the supreme soul is eternal nityam, as it is stated earlier. So, bhakti is, or devotional service is eternal. One should be established in that philosophical conviction. In Srimad Bhagavatam, this is explained. Vadanti yat tato das tattvam nirjnanam avyayam. Those who are actually knows of the absolute, the self. Um, that the self is realized in three different phases. So the Supreme Lord is known by three levels. One is Brahman level, Paramatma, and Bhagwan phase. Bhagwan is the last word. So therefore, wherever Krishna speaks, it is Sri Bhagavan Vacha. Therefore, one should give up that position of understanding Supreme Personality, thus engage in devotional service. That is the perfection of knowledge. Okay, last paragraph. Beginning from practicing humility up to the point of realization of the absolute truth, the absolute personality of God, this process is just like a staircase. So it's like a staircase, beginning from the ground, going to the top floor. Now on this staircase, there are so many people who reach the first floor, second floor. Some people get down at first floor, second floor, third floor. But if our goal is to reach the top floor, we should not get out of it. Okay. If anyone wants to compete with God, I will challenge God. Then, and at the same time, make advancement in spiritual life, then he'll be frustrated. So with challenging God, uh, you cannot advance in spiritual life. It is clearly stated that without humility, understanding is not truly possible. To think oneself God is most perfect. Although the living entity is always being kicked by stringent laws of material nature, he still thinks, I am God, because of ignorance. The beginning of knowledge, therefore, it is amanitam. How humility? Humility means I am not God. There is another definition. One should be humble and know that he is subordinate to Supreme Lord. Due to rebellion against the Supreme Lord, and one becomes subordinate to the material nature. One must know and be convinced of this truth. Okay. So we discussed a lot about knowledge. Let's open up for some question or comment. Any question or comment? Okay. So no questions, then can we stop? We'll stop here.